What up, YouTube? It's Big Lou tapping back in with What It Do with Big Lou. Now, I want to tell you guys a little story. Well, let me tell you about this first. So you see the picture there of this guy? His name is Jaime Osuna, and he's 32 years old. Okay, so he was already in prison he tortured and murdered a lady, a mother of some kids, in a motel, and he didn't even know her or nothing like that. And he killed her, tortured her, and they arrested him finally. He's from Bakersfield, California, which is pretty much dead set in the middle of the state. And he ended up going to prison life. I don't know if he got 25 to life or 100 years to life or life without the possibility of parole or any of that. I just know he was doing life. Anyways, he kills, as you can see right there, it says, so this is May 27, 2021. So this is about a year ago. Jaime Osuna, 31, had decapitated and dissected the body of his cellmate, Luis Romero, 44, with a makeshift knife. State documents show. Okay, so you see the name there? Luis Romero. Okay, same name, my same name. So I get, it's not funny that he was killed, but I get a text message from my uncle's wife, my uncle. It was my uncle's wife, but she's saying, "Hey, your Theo wants to know what's going on. We seen this name in the paper. We're just checking to make sure it's not you because it's the same age and everything, same name." And of course, it's not. Otherwise, I wouldn't be talking to you guys. So let's click on that and let's see what it says. So look how weird he looks. And all those tattoos on his face, he was putting all those tattoos on his face while he was in the county jail, at Kern County Jail, which is in California. So a self-styled Satanist beheaded his cellmate, but the guards didn't notice, report says. So yeah, it was reported that they didn't even notice his head was off. So the convicted killer shares the same cell as Corcoran State Prison. The convicted killers shared the same cell. But on the morning of March 9th, 2019, only one was still alive. Okay. Osuna had decapitated and dissected the body of his cellmate, Luis Romero, 44, with the makeshift knife. State documents show. Right? I don't know other way to do this stuff. So I'm doing it like this. So bear with me, guys. I know it's a little ghetto the way I'm doing this, but it is what it is. But after guards made their rounds, they reported that both men were alive, according to two new reports on California prisons from the Inspector General's office. The reports add fresh revelations and raise more questions about one of the most heinous slayings, inside the California prison system. The killing has prompted investigators. Where am I at? Darn it. The killing has prompted investigations and a lawsuit over why Romero was in a cell with Osuna, a self-styled Satanist with a history of attacking his cellmates. One of the reports also faults the California Department of Correction and Rehabilitation for conducting a shoddy investigation and delaying disciplinary action against the guards. Okay, so he ends up. Why the officers did not discover this grisly scene early is not detailed in the reports, but a lawsuit by Romero's family say the cell bars were covered by a white sheet, suggesting the guards failed to make a thorough check of the cell. The cell bars, there's no bars in Corcoran. It's a solid door, unless, it could be the mesh-style doors, they have a little mesh, and it's still no bars, so I don't know where that's coming from. The Department of Correction disputed the findings of the reports, saying in a statement that had conducted a thorough and complete investigation from the very beginning. But the attorney for the Romero family, Justin Sterling, said the reports outlined the department's veil of secrecy that obscures officer misconduct. The idea that my client had to sue in order to get basic questions answered about her son's death is disheartening. Yeah. The guards were meant to check the cell every so often, Sterling said, and the crime would have taken hours to commit. If the guards had been doing their required checks, Romero would be alive today, he said. I would have to agree with that. Romero had spent 27 years in prison, was put in the cell with Osuna after arriving at Mill Creek State Prison, according to the lawsuit. He was convicted of second-degree murder after fatally shooting a woman in Compton. when he was a teenager and associating with gang members. He was nearing parole eligibility. His new cellmate, Osuna, was serving a life sentence for the killing and torture of Yvette Peña, 37, at a Bakersfield motel in 2011. With face tattoos and flair for Charles Manson-like satanic antics, he became a dark figure, ending the 2017 trial, mocking the victim's family and bragging to television news reporter of his love of torturing people. Sick shit, man. Sometime in the early hours of March 9, 2019, Osuna methodically tortured and killed Romero, authorities said. Using a razor-style blade attached to a handle, Osuna disfigured Romero, cutting out one of his eyes, chopping off one of his fingers, and removing part of his ribs, and slicing out part of his lung. Jeez. He ultimately... wow. I'm not even going to say it. You guys can see here. I don't know. YouTube might have a problem with that. Guards found Osuna wearing a necklace made of Romero's... King County Executive Assistant District Attorney Phil Esbenshade called it the most heinous slaying he had ever seen. We do believe that the victim was conscious during at least a portion of the time he was being tortured. Jeez. Osuna had never had a cellmate until Romero arrived 2 days earlier. During this stint in a Kern County detention facility, he had been found with hatchets and other weapons and was deemed a high-risk staff assaultive threat to guards, according to the lawsuit. In one incident, Osuna found his way into another inmate's cell where he stabbed and slashed his face, resulting in 67 stitches, the lawsuit says. When prison officials requested to photograph the inmate's injury, he declined, noting that he didn't want to risk Osuna getting copies of the photos and adding them to his collection of trophies. Wow. Regular safety checks are considered an essential duty of prison guards who must monitor the health of inmates and prevent assaults or suicides. Questionable behavior by guards has come under scrutiny in a New York case involving Jeffrey Epstein, who hanged himself in his cell while being held on nasty charges. In Romero's slaying, the Department of Corrections had declined to provide details about the guards' activities. According to the Inspector General's reports, the two officers falsely reported that they had observed Romero alive. Additionally, a third and fourth officer did not report that had each seen the first two officers failed to properly conduct the conducts. According to one of the reports, documents did not identify the person or incident, but used dates corresponding with Romero's slaying. The report also criticizes the prison department internal affairs investigation. It said that the first officer lied during the internal affairs interview and that the special agent in charge of the investigation did not interview several key witnesses. The agent also did not investigate whether it was appropriate to place the two killers together in a cell, according to the report. The Inspector General's reports also took issue with the disciplinary measures taken against two of the officers who were on duty, according to a case summary of the investigation obtained by the Times. One officer accused of lying to the internal affairs agent was initially fired, and the salary of the second officer was cut 5% for 3 years. But after the officers appealed to the state's personnel board, the department reached a settlement. The first officer's dismissal was reduced to a 9-month suspension, and the second officer's salary reduction was reduced to 24 months. Wow. The department's handling of the case was poor. The Inspector General's office said in the OIG's opinion, the special agent continually resisted the recommendations of the department attorney general. The department's attorney regarding conducting interviews and obtaining evidence, the report said. Osuna had transferred to Salinas Valley State Prison psychiatric inpatient program. He had been diagnosed with unspecified schizophrenia spectrum, antisocial personality disorder, and borderline personality disorder. A judge has ruled that Osuna is not competent to stand trial for Romero's death. Just give him a slap on the wrist. Richard Winston is an investigative crime writer for Los Angeles Times and part of the team that won the Pulitzer Prize for Public Service in 2011, known as LA Crimes on Twitter. Doing almost 30 years at the Times, he also has been part of breaking news staff that won Pulitzers in 98, 2004, and 2016. Okay, that might be it. Okay, so let me go back here, because at first it says this murder took place in Corcoran, and then I read Mill Creek State Prison. So let me see what the heck's going on here. Okay. Okay. Let me find it, peoples. Thanks for being patient with me on this little video. Okay, I read something about Mill Creek, right? Okay. Okay, well, anyways, it said that he was in Mill Creek and the murder happened in Corcoran. Okay, so let me put this. So it says that he had a history of a history of assaulting other inmates as his cellies. So after that happens a few times, what they do is they put you as down, and you're classified this in your C file, which is your central file. You're down as single cell status, and you'll be in there by yourself. So why they would have put somebody in there with him, and it said it was done on like a that the guard that there was a grievance that was put in against the sergeant, and the sergeant retaliated against Romero by putting him by basically retaliating against him and putting him in this guy's cell. Now, if this guy, like I said, was on single cell status, that was in his file. That should have been all in the computer on this. It's called the SOMS system. It would have been there. So they just put him there anyways, which is bullshit. It's, that's dangerous. And look what happened. And the dude was just weird anyways. The dude's made funny, weird comments all along about doing shit like that. He shouldn't have been put in there. Second of all, they're supposed to, go around every so often and check and look in the cells. So there's obvious lying there, being lazy, not doing their jobs. A couple of them said that they seen them both alive. How can they have seen them alive if the autopsy said the death happened between this time and that time? And they're only there for 8 hours. So, the shifts are first watch. They call it first watch. Comes in at 10 p.m. and they go out at 6 a.m. in the morning. Second watch is from 6 a.m. in the morning till, what would that be, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. And then third watch comes in at 2 p.m. in the afternoon till 10 o'clock p.m. And those are the 3 shifts. And they're called first watch, second watch, third watch. And they're supposed to come around every little while and look in the cells. And so they obviously didn't do their job there. And so this sergeant's being accounted for. But you see how the coincidence there about the name, the same age, and my family thought that perhaps that could have been me because they know I was in prison. That I've done a lot of time in prison and I could have been in there. But luckily for me, my family, it wasn't me. I'm not saying this guy deserved it because I don't believe he did. I believe it was a chicken shit deal on the CO's part and the sergeant and, on their part by putting this guy in that cell with Jaime Osuna and putting him in that position, especially if the guy, like I said, was single cell status. It should have never happened, and it just shows you, man, that just because people swore to an oath, took an oath to serve and protect, that they do the exact opposite. Okay, there it is right there. Osuna. Romero had spent 27 years in prison, was put in a cell with Osuna after arriving from Mill Creek. So I misread that. So he came from Mill Creek to Corcoran and was put in a cell with Osuna. Yeah. Okay, so there it is there. But anyways, like I was saying, folks, it just goes to show you that just because let's keep it real, a correctional officer is still considered a peace officer. They still took an oath. They took a pledge. They took an oath. And they promised by holding that Bible and that right hand up, that they would protect and serve. And when it comes to California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, which everybody just used to call it CDC, now it's called CDCR, after Governor Schwarzenegger put the R in the name, that they will protect basically the institution, staff, right? So that's everybody that works there, and other inmates from danger, So by them throwing this guy in that cell with Jaime Osuna was crazy, Let's go back and show this picture again for anybody that didn't see. Look how crazy that guy looks. Look at that, and he's waving at the judge and waving at the families of the family of the person, the lady he killed. That was why he was fighting his case. And I think there's another picture of him. Look at that shit. Look how wicked and evil he looks. California killer accused of torturing and beheading cellmate. Look at that. He's a sick motherfucker. So crazy. Anyways, folks, with that being said, it's Big Lou about to tap out with What It Do with Big Lou. And these killers, nasty motherfucking individuals we have in this world is crazy. And how negligent it was on the part of the Department of Corrections in California. And I hope they get the shit suit out of them for this. With that being said, once again, tapping out. What It Do with Big Lou.